I'm Kyle Elliott, Director of the Millersville University Weather Information Center. Part of my job here entails working with the up-and-coming student meteorologists to work with them and show them how best to produce both short and long-term weather forecasts, and help show them how best to both write and orally convey a weather forecast. So we produce a day 1 to 3 weather forecast and also a longer term forecast which covers up to day 7. We also produce streaming video webcasts here. We have a short term and a medium range video forecast. The medium range video forecast is done once per week. The short term forecasts are done roughly 3 to 4 times per week. Daylight saving time has been around since the time of the First World War. As we learned as early as grammar school, daylight saving time was created with the idea that it would help farmers. However, that's not actually true, because if you think about daylight saving time, you're not actually gaining an hour of daylight. You're gaining an hour of daylight in the evening. And daylight saving time itself really has no impact on the weather around the area. Our weather averages increase at the most rapid rate here in southeastern PA during the month of March, and that would be the case with or without daylight saving time. One of the biggest influences in our climate here across southeastern PA is whether or not we are in a state of El Nino or La Nina. This is certainly a very influential factor for the farming community, and El Nino and La Nina basically refer to the state of sea surface temperature departures, or how greater or lower than normal the sea surface temperatures are in the equatorial Pacific. In El Nino winters, we typically tend to see colder and snowier winters. In a La Nina winter, which we are in right now, a La Nina winter typically entails warmer and more mild conditions here. Over the last 100 years, we have seen significant trends in both our first and last freeze date here in Lancaster County. In 1920, we typically saw our first freeze in the first week to 10 days of October, and we typically saw our last freeze in the last week to 10 days of April. Fast forward 100 years, and now our first freeze averages in the last week of October, and our last freeze typically occurs in the first week of April. In addition, we have also seen a significant increase in the frequency of extreme rainfall events, or events where we see more than 2 inches of rainfall in a 24-hour period or less. We have seen a dramatic rise in the number of extreme rainfall events across southeastern PA, not only in the last 100 years, but also just in the last 30 years. Because extreme weather events have the biggest impact on farmers and their lifestyle, it's slightly concerning that we have seen this dramatic rise in the extreme weather events over the last 100 years. So what does this mean? This means that, number one, we see more incidences of flash flooding, both in fields and in our waterways across the lower Susquehanna Valley. We've also seen an increase in the frequency of heat waves in the last 100 years. The one good impact that we have seen as far as farming is concerned is the fact that we're seeing less extreme cold and we're seeing warmer overnight low temperatures, meaning, again, that we can expect a longer growing season due to the fact that our first freeze is occurring later in the fall and our last freeze is occurring earlier in the spring. Although the predictability of weather forecasting has increased greatly in the last 30 years, and in particular the last 20 years, we are living in an ever-changing, ever-warming world with the presence of climate change that we've seen since 1990. Unfortunately, farmers right now are going to have to learn how to adapt and adjust to these changes in their daily lifestyle going forward, at least over the next several decades, until we are able to figure out globally how to mitigate the effects of a warming climate.